Hello, Michael here, and I want to welcome you to this video on our visit to the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Puebla, Mexico. Many of us think that the largest pyramid in the world is Giza. It's the Great Pyramid of Giza. And though the Great Pyramid of Giza is the tallest, it's not the largest volume-wise. As a matter of fact, the Great Pyramid of Giza is about 13 to 14 acres at the base, and the Great Pyramid of Cholula is 45 acres. When you enter this town, one of the things you notice are a bunch of these really bright colored churches everywhere. They're some of the most unique churches. They're just bright and beautiful, and they're all over the place. You're 9,600 feet up in elevation just to be there. And it's a spectacular experience. When you're driving into town, you'll notice there's a mountain. Looks like a small mountain with a church on top of it. And on top of that mountain is this cathedral that the Spanish built. So I'm here at the base of the Cholula Cathedral, and this cathedral on top of this hill happens to be the largest pyramid in the entire world that is known. And what I mean by the largest, this is the most mass. I think it's 45 acres all the way around, and this church is built on top of the Pyramid of Cholula. And we are going to jump into this in a second. We're going to climb to the top, and then we're going to go into the tunnels within the pyramid, and then we're going to look at some of the exterior. But this is just, most people have no idea that the largest pyramid is right here in Puebla, Mexico. One of the things that I was the most excited about was being able to actually enter the tunnels under the pyramid. My understanding was that we were able to do this, and I was super excited, and then we find out that the pyramids are closed. Kind of like all the other pyramids, it seems like. So instead, we just did a lot of walking around. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat when you go to the archaeological zone at the base of this pyramid is just the sheer size. When you're walking up at the base entrance, it looks like a stadium. It's like you're walking in there and you're looking at some ancient terraced stadium. I am at the base of the Cholula Pyramid in Puebla, Mexico. What's interesting is that this was one of the stops that Hernan Cortez stopped at 500 years ago on his way to Tenochtitlan. And if you look on top of this hill, that cathedral up there is what the Spanish built on top of this pyramid. But this is the largest pyramid in the entire world as far as the actual base size, 45 acres. This is amazing. that just blew my mind was just looking at their drainage systems. I was just really over this, the level of planning and organization, like the sophistication that must have taken to create this structure. This was massive. When Hernan Cortez came to Cholula on his way to Tenochtitlan, the pyramid was also buried. It was covered. They didn't even know it was there. Even back then, it was covered. And the question is, who covered it? Why was it covered? Was it purposely covered? Because the reality is you're dealing with 5 or 6 feet of sediment at least when you're walking up to the base and seeing this. When I was walking around the ruins with my family, I noticed an air of sadness. This is definitely an intuitive thing, but it was very similar to how I felt when I went to the 9/11 memorial. I just had a sense of like, it just felt like something like bad happened here. And I didn't really know like what it was until when I got home, I started doing a little more research. Because one thing about traveling to places, you get kind of, a fire gets ignited. At least it got ignited in me. And I did a little more digging. And I found out that when Hernan Cortez came to Cholula, this was a city of priests. This was a more of a peaceful kind of community. It was highly advanced. As a matter of fact, the people of Cholula were called Choluteca, and they actually were a much older lineage than the Aztecs or the Mexica. But what I found out was that Hernan Cortez and a tribe that he allied with slaughtered 5,000 Cholulans in one day in this city. Completely annihilated them, wiped them out. And it was the kind of slaughter that terrified Montezuma. As a matter of fact, it was this specific slaughter that caused Montezuma to invite the conquistadors into Tenochtitlan.
On the 10th of October, 1519, Cortez departed the city of Tlaxcala with his own army of Spanish and Totonac men, as well as 6,000 Tlaxcalan troops bestowed by Xicotenga to bolster his army, the train of soldiers stretching for miles behind his lead. They headed for the city of Quetzalcoatl and camped after the first day on an open plain, greeted by Cholula representatives who brought maize and turkey with them as gifts, allowing them to remain in peace on this patch of their territory. Unknown to Cortez, Montezuma had received an oracle who claimed to have had a vision that Cortez and his men would be defeated in Cholula, which had almost certainly prompted him to make aggressive moves in the hope that this prophecy was true. It was Cortez's translator, Malinche, who eventually discovered the plot against them, when an unknowing Cholulan woman approached her and warned that the Cholulans had massed just outside of the city, with orders from Montezuma to attack and destroy the Spanish force, a plot which she immediately relayed to Cortez. Cortez invited the Cholulan commanders back into his private quarters, whereupon he bolted the door and threatened the chiefs with his sword, revealing that he knew of their contact with Montezuma. The subsequent events cannot be called anything other than a massacre. Priests and traders were killed alongside soldiers, with many running up the steps of the temple in order to escape the Spanish soldiers, only to fall to their deaths either by accident or as a means of suicide. Cortez decided to make this a total act of annihilation, and set the temple alight as a means of striking fear into the hearts of the Cholulan and Aztec population, an act made even more significant as the temple was the heart of the pilgrimage site of Quetzalcoatl. Cortez then allowed the Tlaxcalans free reign of the city, which they used as an opportunity to completely destroy the home of their enemies, burning houses, looting shrines and stores, and slaughtering many of the residents they discovered. By the time the attack was over, 5,000 lay dead in the streets of the city of Cholula. The massacre at Cholula sent shockwaves around the whole region, and afforded Cortez great control over a vast swathe of land which had previously belonged to the Cholulan government. A significant victory, but one gained through the most horrendous means. Cortez remained at the city of Cholula for a time, and after a week or so was intrigued to see Aztec messengers coming toward his position bearing cloth, gold, and fine food, asking to see the Spanish leader, whom they informed had been granted an audience with Montezuma at long last.
When I found that out, it just kind of felt like, wow, I get it. Like, it just felt like this is a place that some terrible thing happened, and it did. The Great Pyramid of Cholula was an incredible experience. There's so much mystery there. Supposedly built in 300 BC, it is just a mystery on who built this, why it was buried, the scale, and the fact that people were doing this long ago. There's definitely a curiosity that I have about Mesoamerica. And I think personally that Mesoamerica has a much greater part of the World Heritage story than it's been given right now. I think Mesoamerica played a huge role in the development of civilization and the exchange of knowledge worldwide. As a matter of fact, we think of the old world over there in Europe, in the Middle East, and in Asia. But the more that gets discovered in Mesoamerica, in Central America, in the Amazon, and down in Peru, it may very well be that Mesoamerica is the old world. I hope you enjoy the footage. I hope you enjoy this video. Leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I love reading comments, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the future.